Greetings, whiskey folk, and welcome back to Drinking Out Loud. My name is Adam Bradshaw, and I am here at the Strath Liquor Merchants to tell you all about Remember. This is a very proud moment for me. You see, I actually got to name this whiskey, and I actually got to write the tasting notes, which is such an honour. I can't really put into words how amazed I am that I had that opportunity. But yeah, it's really cool. So, without any further ado, I'm going to read out those tasting notes now, or rather, an edited down version because I may have got a bit rambly in the full long form version. All right, so this is what I found in this whiskey. On the nose, childhood memories of the night before bonfire night. Peeling sticky, slightly burnt dark treacle toffee off steel baking sheets onto waxed paper. Making papier-mâché for the effigy, and old woolen jumpers to wear next to the bonfire, with water, foam bananas, twiglets, and pineapple-flavoured boiled sweeties. The palate takes us to Guy Fawkes night. Did someone throw peat on the bonfire? The blaze quickly reduces the homemade Guy to ash, as the sparklers fizz and pop in our leather gloves. Nearby, the adults are smoking pipes and drinking heavily spiced peated hot toddies. The snack table is more exotic than previous years. Candied lemon peels, smoked oysters, and applewood smoked cheddar. Remember? This is the 2022 Global Gathering bottle. Tasting note written by our Victoria Ambassador, Adam Bradshaw of the Strath Liquor Merchants. It's me! Oh, yeah. I had so much fun coming up with that. I rarely get to try SMWS whiskies, especially blind. I mean, all of these tastings, I have to order the whiskey and put it out on the shelves and pour it. I already know what it is by the time I'm drinking it. And I'm often very jealous of our members that get to come and try these blind, because it's quite an experience, and I love doing it. So having the opportunity to do that in the first place was lovely. I got a little vial given to me with no information whatsoever. But being able to come up with my own notes and string it into my own sort of narrative was really just a very wonderful experience. It really was. And Guy Fawkes night. I know Kelly and Rob were a little worried about my tasting notes, wondering, will Canadians know what on earth it is? And, fair play if you don't, because it's a very British thing that isn't really celebrated elsewhere. So for those who aren't familiar with Guy Fawkes night, it's a night where we have special foods that we only really have once a year. Candy apples is one of them, or toffee apples rather. Parkin is something that we have in Yorkshire, which I think was in my first draft of the tasting notes, but I realised that was a little too hyper-specific. It's not only bonfire night, it's specific to bonfire night in Yorkshire. It's kind of like a molasses ginger cake. But yeah, it's an annual celebration on the 5th of November. Remember the 5th of November. That's where the Remember comes from. It's a poem about it. Where we are specifically remembering a foiled terrorist attack by a guy called Guy Fawkes and his gang of miscreants who tried to blow up the Houses of Parliament. And in memory of that, we burn a effigy of Guy Fawkes. Yeah, we make a papier-mâché sort of doll of Guy Fawkes, dress him up in the clothing with a big wide hat and everything, and burn him on a bonfire, and set fireworks off, and just hang around outside on a cold November the 5th evening in the UK. It's, honestly, I miss it. It's one of the things I miss the most about living in England. And although I'm going back this year for Christmas, and I'm really excited about that, haven't had Christmas with my parents since I was 19, I'm hoping one year to go back and embrace Guy Fawkes night. However, I am on the lookout for a place where we can celebrate in Victoria. If I can find a place where we're allowed to have a bonfire and we're allowed to drink whiskey, maybe we'll have an SMWS bonfire night. I think that'd be kind of cool. Anyway, for more information on Bonfire Night, watch the movie V for Vendetta. It doesn't really tell you much about it, but it's a really bloody good movie. So, shout out to Evan, who I actually just got a message earlier today. I haven't responded yet. I'm very naughty. I've been busy. Sorry, Evan. Who congratulated me and said on a job well done with these tasting notes. Shout out to him, of course, because he did the I think it was the 2021 one. The raiding the late night pantry raid. That's right, which was an excellent name and excellent tasting notes and a really good whiskey as well. I was really relieved when I found out that my tasting notes had been chosen. I mean, the relief hit me before the joy, because I didn't know anything about this whiskey. I didn't know what flavor profile it was under, what distillery it was from, or anything. And I was incredibly worried for some reason that all of my senses had failed me and it wasn't even peated. So to find out that it definitely is, was a huge relief. And yeah, now, I mean, going back now, there's no real mistaking this. On the nose right now, the thing that I'm getting the most, and this isn't really something, it's adjacent to something in here. I'm getting salt and vinegar chips, and Marmite. And Marmite, of course, it's a love it or hate it. It's a piece of British culture, but it is the main thing on Twiglets, which I believe I do mention in the tasting notes. It's kind of like a breadstick with Marmite on it. Yeah, it's definitely smoky though. A little bit of kippers. Yeah, I almost regret taking Parkin out of the notes because I do get a ginger note, that ginger and molasses. I think I talked about having the homemade Parkin, which the church organist always makes, which is true, but a little more information you need in a whiskey tasting. Oh, it's good. It's good. I mean, I know it's good. I've had it several times now. I've studied this whiskey to no end, looking for every angle. When I made my tasting notes, because the tasting notes are normally a collaborative effort from a group of people who have all had different experiences leading up to this whiskey, I tried to have it several times with, on several different days, in different moods, with different amounts of sleep, with different food before and after, maybe having a whiskey before and after as well. So I actually sampled this at least 5 different times to come up with all the different bits and pieces before it all sort of twigged that, oh yeah, these all go along that bonfire night theme. Alright, so the particulars. This whiskey, I bet the bottle says Highland. It's a Highland. It's an island. Come on now, SMWS. Change your ways. It's an island whiskey. Acknowledge the islands. It's from a specific island. The island of Mull. This is 42.81. This was from a refill ex-bourbon hogshead, which is exactly what you want in a whiskey like this, because it's been aged for 14 years, from the 29th of March 2007. This is a beautiful expression where you want to make the whiskey speak more than the wood. You want the spirit to do the driving on this one, because it's beautiful, wonderful, complex, rich spirit with a decent amount of age, which is going to give those additive and subtractive maturation notes. An outturn of only 114 bottles on this one, but is a Canada exclusive. This is only for us Canadians. Came out at 55.2. Beautiful. Lovely, lovely, lovely. All right. So, this is a sister cask to several incredible bottlings of the Jake, Tomori, that we've had in the past little while. So, in, I think, reverse order, most recently, you might have tried it might have tried a sister cask of this one, rather, at the Victoria Whisky Festival, where we had a couple of bottles go out for sample at the Masterclass, the Grand Tasting, Masterclass, one of the two. And then we had some for sale by lottery. So if you were lucky enough to get 42.75, I think, nope, the other one, 42.70, which was Swashbuckle and Spice. Then you've had a sister cask of this one. That was a really nice whiskey that there wasn't enough for a full outturn, so it was reserved just for festivals. You might more likely to have had Coastal Convolutions to September of last year, so actually a year ago this month, we had a sister cask of this. That was 42.75. Before that, we had Chimney Sweep's Romantic Barbecue, all the way back in February of 2018. I have to admit, I don't really remember that one, but then again, I don't really remember much from 2018. My memory's not what it used to be. I vaguely remember a Lacheg from back then, and I'm sure it was excellent. Unfortunately, I don't have a YouTube video because I only started doing those in 2020, so I'll never know. I should have made notes, I guess. So, because I got to name this one, I made a cheeky request. partially to make sure I got, enough so that I could buy a bottle, I requested if we could get 3 cases of this for our store, and that request was granted. Thank you, Kelly. So we actually have, I think 6 of these. I might have gone into the last case a little bit for the online release, so that people that couldn't make it to the tasting still have a chance at this one, which is good, because if we hadn't done that, we would have sold out completely. I generally do save stuff for the online release, so it wasn't going to happen anyway. But yeah, this is definitely available at time of recording, and there's a couple of bottles, but only a handful. It is $247.74, and a delightful whiskey that was a lot of fun. I thoroughly enjoyed this, and it's an absolute honour that my words are gracing an official SMWS label. Look at that. They even, obviously, the label aren't have the full tasting notes either, so I should read out the real truncated version. Memories of bonfire night, burnt toffee, old woolen jumpers, and peat-fueled fire next to a table with candy, smoked cheese, and seafood. Yeah, that is a great, what's it called on Reddit? TLDR, too long, didn't read. A little summation of the tasting notes that puts it perfectly. Nice. Thank you for the opportunity to do this. I loved every minute of it. And I'll see you on the next video, which is the last video from this outturn. And as I let slip before, isn't even a whiskey. Evan's crazy ride of a tasting ends on a very interesting note. All right, I'll see you there. Slanjava.
Folks out here are kind. Let me see.